2, 1. We're back with Trackside Talks. On tonight's episode, the Bash and Dash at Strathspey. Ticket offices remain. Vale buys a railway gets fined, and things return to steam. But first, I would like to introduce a new member of the gang. But first, I'm obviously your cast, Ben. We have Stuart. And
Good afternoon.
And our newest member to the patrol gang, Nicholas.
You are both unfortunate and glad I have arrived.
Yes, so obviously we've taken a bit of a break. TJ, the apprentice, is still rather busy, unfortunately. So we need a spare hand on the track gang, so we've hired Nick for the time being. See how this goes out, shall we?
Oh,
Yeah, they're already working me like dogs, but later on.
Yeah. But yes, we will start with the more obvious big story that probably everybody's already talked about, sick of hearing about, and then its consequences. The Bash and Dash, as I call it, at Strathspey in Scotland.
or as I call it, the real-life equivalent of SpongeBob going, you're good, now stop."
Yeah, so...
Or that one episode from Thomas with Henry and the Express. Less about that.
Oh, there's been plenty of memes about that.
There's been plenty of memes, but yes, the more about that, Nick, the more about that. So if you've been hiding under a rock,
The past month or two.
Yeah, Flying Scotsman.
Oh no, I know about it.
Yeah, Flying Scotsman's had a bit of an accident, and while at Evermore, the
Aviemore,
the mainline connection for the Strathspey Railway, she was backing up to a set of coaches, and
not just any set of coaches. The Royal Scotsman.
The Royal Scotsman set of coaches, so the lovely big named express. She backed up and collided with the balcony.
Observation
coach. with the veranda of the observation Mark 1.
Yes, and sent...
At a fair rate of knots.
About 12 mile an hour, people reckon. I've heard.
Yeah, that's 10 mile an hour too quick.
Yes. There is videos going around. I'm not going to put them onto the thing because
you can easily find them. You'll find them easily. Too easily.
Yeah. There is videos from the veranda that kind of show people getting hurt from their point of view. So we're not.
Even they knew it was coming in way too hot.
Yes, I would have been moving away from the veranda at that point. But yes, she's reversed into these coaches at quite some speed. Has damaged the coach, but surprisingly not damaged herself.
Quite the opposite of what happened with Lion during the filming of Titfield.
What happened with Lion?
Oh, do you not know? There's a big crack in her tender still there.
Oh, okay.
Big crack in the buffer beam.
Yeah, how it happened was during the scene where the village folk are pushing the Dan's home on the flatbed and the brake van. They let go, and then the two rolled down and hit Lion quite hard in the back, and it caused that famous crack Stu mentioned. She still got it now, and it just shows that all film stars still gain scars.
Oh, fair enough.
No matter how old they are.
But yeah, so obviously we all know about the crash at Scotsman and everything. 8 fire engines were sent.
8?
I think... Wasn't there like 10 hospitalised or something? Too seriously, though.
No, there was only... I don't think it was 10, but...
Like, there was about 10... I think it was about 10 injuries, but 2 of them were serious enough to go to the hospital.
2 got hospitalised.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised with the footage that came out. What's worrying...
And the photographs.
Yeah. What's worrying is that obviously, because it's a mainline connection, people said Scotsman's had a crash. There's been a train crash. The fire brigade and the ambulances just hit the send everything button.
When
they didn't really.
When it wasn't as serious as people thought.
No, it's still sick.
Yeah.
Thankfully, nothing derailed. So obviously that went all over the news. Like the whole country knew about it because of Flying Scotsman. But have you
I'm
guys...
surprised they didn't pull Scotsman from mainline rotation after that.
Well, they did check her out, and they said she's up to snuff. There's actually no damage to the engine; it's damage to the coaching stock. They're still waiting for a report from
The RAIB.
Yeah, Rio, as it's called in. I don't know why they call it Rio, but they call it Rio. But anyway, have you heard what's happened to Strathspey since?
The fact that 828's still not there, no.
Okay. There's been a mass walkout of staff.
Oh yes, the mass walkout.
Hence the dash part of my comment. Apparently, this has sort of been the straw that's broke the camel's back.
That's what I'm thinking. Either that.
Yeah, 41 people have walked.
Yeah, because apparently there was some things going on behind the scenes, and I think the Scotsman incident has just pushed it further.
There's been a vote of no confidence in certain members of the board, and it's now pushing the railway into quite financial troubles as well.
Which is a big problem, because they had their 50th anniversary gala like a couple of years ago now.
Yes. So, do you want to hear the list of reasons?
Do tell.
A lack of respect for all staff.
That's a big one.
Lack of leadership.
Another big one.
Lack of forward planning and vision. The inability to follow company policies, like putting a shunter to signal on an engine, perhaps.
That sounds like they're understaffing as well as going against policies.
The inability to deal with staffing issues and management. So,
literally what I just said.
Yeah. Failure to seize positive opportunities for the benefit and the future of the railway.
Ooh.
Like probably not having Flying Scotsman bash into the coaching stock.
Because that's bad publicity immediately.
I think, speaking of, I think there's actually a photo of the veranda coach on the back of a lorry being driven away.
There was a picture of it. I remember seeing it. I can't remember how long ago it was, but I think it was like a good couple of days after the incident.
And there is a nice dint in there.
Yeah, I think where the corridor might have ploughed into the back end of the veranda.
Yeah, intense micromanagement.
That happens everywhere.
Surprised, actually. It doesn't happen where I volunteer. And lack of communication.
Lack of communication is always something, because, I mean, even my last job, there was a distinct lack of communication.
Yep. So, but yes, it's kind of embarrassing for the railway.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't help that their flagship's not there either. She's still a spa. And she went down, almost 2 years ago now?
Fair enough. Did not know that one. But I know one thing that's not going to happen to the railways.
Hey.
And now for the good news.
For the good news, yes. They're not closing the ticket offices.
Thank Lord.
So obviously, the railway companies, and
You can shove your cost-cutting measures where the sun don't shine, and people are keeping their jobs. And more importantly, some safety is actually coming through.
Yes. So the railway operators turned around a few months ago and went, we're going to close all our ticket offices, or the majority of them anyway, because 80-something% of passengers don't use them.
Just because 80% of passengers don't use them doesn't mean they're not needed.
Yes, and so obviously all the old age groups and the disability groups and all that lot went, hang on a second, no.
Because that's just going to put more stress on the guards if it went through.
It did. They tested it.
Where the hell did they test it?
Take a guess.
Let me guess, they trialed it on somewhere around London.
Okay, I'll give you a guess of which operator was involved.
LNER?
Nope. Nick?
Southern.
Nope.
EMR?
Nope.
Great Western?
Nope.
Jesus. SkyRail?
Nope. Nick, any more guesses? Think the worst one of the lot. Always delayed.
West Coast, doesn't it?
Nope.
No, it's the West Coast.
Avanti.
That's what I said, West Coast.
Oh, Avanti West Coast, yeah. So yeah,
Like,
Avanti
West Coast was the worst option they could have went for a trial, isn't it?
I mean, they're always late. They're one of the
Pretty
worst
much.
operators in the country.
They've been decidedly the worst for this year, hands down.
Hey, listen. If you don't know late unless you come down to the south, okay? But yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so Avanti West Coast was one of the operators that took part in a trial a couple of months back, and it was all over then Twitter. People going, well, this ticket machine's down, or well, I want to buy a ticket to go to London. And so, of course, the ever so helpful people in the social media offices of Avanti West Coast had some bright ideas.
Oh, this was bloody glorious.
Nick, do you want to take a guess at what was said?
No, I just want to hear it so I can laugh.
What was the bright idea? What is it? You need to get a ticket to X station. Well, you need to go here.
Yes.
How am I going to get there? You need to buy a ticket.
I'm at station.
What was it? It was like I need to get a ticket from Doncaster to Peterborough or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you need to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, they were like, I want to get a ticket here, and the machine's not working, and they're going to London, and the person on Twitter replied with, well, you can either head to stations B, C, D, or the one in London itself to buy a ticket.
Aviante, dim-witted and absolutely stupid.
And then...
What's the point of going to London just to buy a ticket to go to London? You might as well take a taxi.
And then it gets better.
Oh, good, Baldwin.
It gets so much better. Someone mentioned that, again, one of the ticket machines weren't working. Because, of course, the ticket offices themselves were shut, but the ticket machines were still available on the station, so it was all automated. Right?
Right.
So it wasn't a complete shutdown of ticket facilities on the platform.
But...
So someone said, this ticket machine is not working. What do we do? And the person in the social media office replied with, well, just pull the guard, or the train manager, off the train, and they will reset the system.
That's not their job.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, some of them will not know how to do that because they will not have been trained to do that. Their job is the train, not the platform equipment.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
You're going to take someone off a train that's probably already heavily delayed to delay them further to restart a machine that...
Well, you might as well just get on the train and pay for a ticket there.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Probably the station office... ticket office could have dealt with, or have just sold the ticket.
But did they think of that at the time? Nope.
Anyway, yeah. So, Passenger Watchdog, Transport Focus, and London Travel Watch objected to the proposals, obviously, and unions got involved. Something like I said, 12% were only bought at the ticket station kiosks. They asked the public to put in responses.
And let me guess, it was overwhelmingly negative.
750,000 people objected.
Yeah. That's an overwhelming majority.
That sounds about right, to be honest.
That's an overwhelming majority telling them to get stuffed.
Yeah.
In the bin.
Well, this was all people say. This was if you have a problem with this idea, please let us know. And 750,000 people put in and said, we have a problem. And obviously, when you think old age people that might struggle looking at the machine, using
old age people who struggle with technology. You've also got people who actually want some human interaction.
Autistic people, for example.
Yeah, because with me, like for interviews, for example, I prefer to actually speak to a person when conducting an interview. I hate it when it's just you having to record yourself and there's no human interaction there.
I've never done one of those, but
It's horrible. I hate it.
Over the phone interviews are the worst as well.
I still prefer that over just one-way recording yourself.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But also you got to think about the disabled people that are like wheelchair bound, poor eyesight,
limited mobility, just in general.
Yeah, so all these people, you'd suddenly telling them, "Sorry, you can't travel by train." It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the government, for once, have stepped in and gone, no.
They've looked at this idea.
Stuffed, you're doing it properly.
Yeah, they've looked at it in practice.
Driver-only operation was one thing, but this is just two. This is a whole other mess entirely.
Driver-operated only has been taken off the table as well.
Oh, excellent!
So there is
Fantastic.
to be guards and staff on the trains.
Do these companies not think of safety?
Well, this is one of the reasons why strikes were going on, and
I don't blame them.
Now it purely is pay an hour issue, because the hours are ridiculous and the pay is ridiculous. But yes, the Transport Secretary Mark Harper said the government has asked train operators to withdraw their proposals because they failed to meet high passenger standards.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what he means by high passenger standards, because
it's not like there's any passenger standards to begin with.
Yeah.
I think what it probably means is by high passenger standards, probably mean the high amount of passengers.
Or the ability to talk to someone, but
probably.
But yes, it's definitely of
good grace.
Good news that they are scrapping that plan altogether. And like I said, they've scrapped the plans for driver operated only trains, because I can actually tell you a story where a train failed in a section. They were about 2 miles from a platform, and there was the driver and the guard, and thankfully an off-duty member of staff that was also travelling on the train.
Oh yeah.
They used the two guards, because the off-duty was also a guard, to ferry people from the stranded train up to the platform, and then walked back on their own. Because I think it was something like the overheads went down. And the company, the CEO of the company, actually congratulated the two guards for it. Because
what are the odds they did not get a pay rise?
Well, there is that one. No, I think the guards have got the pay rise. I think it's the drivers that are still not getting the pay rise. I'm not sure, but
they should get a pay rise.
Yeah.
And speaking of money.
Oh yeah, speaking of money. But yeah, let me just finish this story and then we'll go on to that one. But yeah, because if there had been no guard, they would have had to wait for recovery, which could have been 2, 3, 4 hours.
What company was this?
Can't tell you because I don't know.
Okay.
But yes, speaking of money, Stuart.
Yeah, a surprising one that came up recently. The Vale of Rydal has bought out the Brecon Mountain Railway.
Yes.
Bringing
which, from what I've been told, is the exact opposite of what happened previously.
Yes, bringing a full circle of history. So my understanding is that two gentlemen used to own both the a pair of gentlemen owned the Brecon Beacons Railway. Then they bought the Vale of Rydal off BR.
That would have been when they were privatised. That would be 1989.
Yeah, because BR was the Vale of Rydal.
The Vale of Rydal was the last steam operation on British Railways that wasn't a charter.
Yeah.
Begs the question, what was the last Steam charter on BR? But that's for another day. But yeah, that really does surprise me. I think it caught almost everyone in multiple different places off guard.
It did catch everyone off guard. But yeah, so anyway, they split the two entities in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now the Vale of Rydal has bought the Brecon Beacons because both gentlemen have passed away and they want to bring them back under one name. But they are still going to be operated as two separate entities.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
I do know that Rudyard Lake in Staffordshire is up for sale if anyone wants to buy it.
Oh, yes. We saw that.
I think it's 1,000 or something ridiculous like that.
Can I just mention one quick thing before we move on to our biggest news item?
Go on.
I don't know if you noticed, I put this in a little while ago. There was the big, you've heard of the Great Train Robbery?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
going to be good.
two teenage boys in Scotland tried to do a similar thing, but they got absolutely nowhere near.
No, I haven't heard of this one. Go on.
Yeah, a couple of lads, I can't remember where it was, let me try and find the thing. They tried to break into a mail train on the west coast main line, somewhere between Glasgow and Carlisle.
Oh, this is going to be good.
They're probably thinking there was cash in there. They've probably seen, yeah, here it is. They tried to rob the train. Where was the train parked?
It was in the depot, wasn't it?
No, it was in the station. Lockerbie, they tried to do it at 1:42 in the morning on August 1st.
Oh.
17 and an 18-year-old were found in the carriage.
Oh.
And they did it similar to the film. They gained access by damaging signalling equipment.
Huh. Well, that actually reminds me. There was a RAB released a report on a signalling issue the other day. I'll get to that in a minute. But I do know one railway that's not going to be buying anything for a while.
Is it Gwilly?
Gwilly.
Oh, yeah. The fine.
£18,000 fine.
Is that for a volunteer getting injured?
Yeah.
Yep.
Work at Height Regulations 2005 offence.
Yeah, they're going to have to replace. They're going to have to do a lot of ticket and charter sales for that to recover.
Yeah, a volunteer who was pulling a tent fabric over a frame covering two railway coaches slipped and fell from the roof of a Mark I coach to the ground, suffering a broken leg which needed surgery and a number of days in hospital.
Ouch.
Yeah, working at heights regulations are always great. And I bet you it's a case of, I've done this hundreds of times, I know what I'm doing, it'll be fine, and it was a
Whoops,
wet...
it is.
And then he falls off.
And then he falls off in a wet, horrible...
Famous, we call that famous last words.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That'll be a, well, you won't be doing...
Yeah, he'll be alright.
Oh, apparently the investigation found that the ladder used to climb onto the carriage roof by the volunteer was also not fit for purpose.
Oh dear.
Oh,
It gets worse.
It gets worse. It's like Fred Dibner with his wooden ladders going up the chimney stacks in the 70s. You're like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
The task was a part of an ongoing work activity over a number of days, which increased the risk of a fall, which saw several volunteers and an employee placed at risk.
Definitely ain't good.
No. But yes, when people don't tend to do the right thing, that's when accidents happen. Like the Derbyshire railway section that had two trains in it at the same time.
They somehow got two trains in the same section without permission.
Yes. Do you want to know?
No!
So we all know how the absolute block system works, don't we,
Yeah,
gentlemen?
one train in a
yes.
section at any time,
Yeah, and it's all
unless there's an emergency.
it's all track circuited, so the lights will switch once it recognises that the train is in that section. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there had been some remedial works being done, and the signalling equipment had been unplugged by a third-party company.
I see where this is going.
Let me
Carry on.
guess, they forgot to plug it back in.
No, they plugged it back in, just in reverse.
Oh, for crying out loud!
How much of a dipstick do you have to be?
So here is passenger train travelling at 100 mile an hour. It's trundling along quite nicely in the lovely hills and valleys of Derbyshire. Sees a green light, thinks, sound, I'll carry on. Goes through said green light. The next light is red.
Oh!
Ooh.
So he slams on his brakes. Overshoots said red light by 760 metres.
Flippin' heck, he must have had brown trousers for a while.
Oh, that's... Whoever did the wiring is going to get investigated.
So obviously he's done everything right. This is absolute no fault of the train drivers, the report has said. So he picks up his phone and reports as SPAD. And the signalling are a little bit confused because they hadn't set anything to red. Anyway, while he is on the phone to signalling, another train is coming up from behind.
And let me guess, the signal behind him is turned green.
No. The signal is actually correct and shows 2 orange lights for proceed with extreme caution because something is in the section. It hasn't cleared the section yet. Right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he slows right down, comes round the corner and sees the train. Now he's only doing about 20 mile an hour because he's come to a signal there's extreme danger. So he puts on his brakes and stops a couple 100 metres away, phones up control and goes, there's a train in my section. And now you have 2 trains in the section.
Someone is going to get fired.
Turns out the company that was doing the remedial works, they didn't quite know that signalling setup, even though I actually know this company, and I do know this company myself.
I'm guessing you're not allowed to name and shame them.
I'm not going to name and shame them just so that it doesn't come back to me, but I do know this company and I have worked with this company. And obviously there's no, by the sounds of it, there's no standard on how signalling is set up in the boxes. So they plugged what should have been the green light into the red light and the red light into the green light controls.
Someone's gonna get fired.
Pretty blinking. Somebody's gonna get fired probably in 24 hours.
This was a couple of weeks ago, but yes, when I'm sat there at work and I see the name of the company and I go, oh dear.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh, Scooby, something's happening here.
Yes, so there has been, the reports come out, this was last year this happened, or earlier this year, sorry, and the report has come out and they've said that Network Rail needs to really take more care with who they hire and also check the work has been done properly and that everything is back.
That's what you definitely need to do.
And that someone comes and checks the signals. So
this is why you have route learning stuff. It also acts as a double check, make sure everything's working.
Yes. But yeah.
Bring back the bubble cuts to me.
So yeah, it's not even the Heritage Railways that can get things wrong. The main line does too.
Just made me realise something.
Go on.
Okay, so as you said, third-party company that shall not be named for obvious reasons did the work to the signals, and that stuffed up, right?
Yes.
Everyone remembers Stonehaven?
That was the one
where the landslide happened with the HST set.
Yes.
Third-party company
had built
done the job,
yeah,
and Network Rail didn't check it.
Well, they didn't check it properly.
Yeah,
I'm starting to notice a small pattern here.
Yeah, they changed the drainage system, hadn't they? They hadn't built it to the network rail standards.
And then we had the headline in the Sun, which I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah.
You'll have to send me that one.
Oh, I'll send you after we're done here.
Yeah.
It is absolutely shocking.
Yeah. But talking of other RIA reports, Nick, you know about a RIA report, don't you? Great Central?
Oh, yes. The investigation report posted after the little incident with the passenger that was mentioned in your previous stream, correct? Well, your previous trackside, correct?
Yes. I think it was, yeah.
It was one of them. I remember talking about it.
Yeah, at the Great Central. Do you mind if I...
Yeah, carry on.
I may stutter a little bit. My skin internet's been a little bit 50-50.
Yeah, no.
So, as we know, Saturday, January 2023, a passenger was exiting the train when he lost his footing and sustained, quote, a serious injury.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. The RAIB says that this is due to the platform length being only 2 meters longer than the train, and that the train's brakes were not performing in a consistent manner. Unquote. There have been 3 recommendations, if you wish for me to read them out.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The first is addressed to the Great Central Railway and relates to the assessment and control of risk, learning from previous events, and ensuring that the needs of disabled passengers are considered.
Yes, because it's the gentleman's visually impaired, wasn't he?
I think.
Yeah.
Let me see if it mentions.
The
And
passenger who was visually impaired lost his footing when he was unable to negotiate the step down to the platform ramp. So, by the sounds of it, the train overshot slightly.
I think it undershot.
No, because if the platform was only 2 meters longer and he's alighting onto the passenger open onto the platform and ramp.
Yeah.
And this meant that the passenger who was visually impaired lost his footing when he was unable to. So yeah, he's right at the very end of the coach, which is just slightly
over the end of the platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bigger step down.
If you actually look at the image of the report page I posted, you can actually see a pretty good example, because you can see the coach right at the end of the platform, and it is quite a gap.
Yeah, so he would have looked out and not realised there was such a big gap, and
then, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're blind in one eye, you've lost your depth perception, so you don't know how far away that actually is.
Well, it just said he was visually impaired, so that could be a number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second recommendation, also addressed to the Great Central Railway, relates to auditing and assurance of risk management activities, which I think is pretty fair.
I think that one's sort of instructing guards on make sure you know where the train's stopping, sort of deal.
I mean, you should just lock the end doors and just say, please don't use this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, because I've had sort of similar experience with this, and that was at Swanage.
Right.
We'll get on to that later.
Well, no, because you remember when they were doing the experimental runs to Wareham and back? They actually had to have a member of staff sort of at the Wareham end of the train, sort of instructing people, there's no platform here, go to another coach.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then the third recommendation is made to the Heritage Railway Association and relates to provisions of guidance on managing the risks around the passenger/train interference at Heritage Railway stations. Interface. Apologies. Not good with my English.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's basically meaning how Joe Blow public that doesn't quite know how everything works can get on and off a train safely. Because I know we've spoken about it before, where Severn Valley,
the Great Western coaches,
with their Great Western coaches, have had doors open while the train's been travelling because nobody knows how to close the door.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that with ScotRail and some of the Mark IIs, Like, because some of them are just see a door handle and don't know what to do, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, even
like-
automatic doors, as we spoke about before, don't know when to close properly and stay open for 10 seconds when the train starts moving.
Oh, yeah, that problem last time round.
Yeah. Did you not hear about that one, Nick?
Probably not.
Oh, yeah. On the very first episode, we spoke about a DMU that was leaving one of the platforms, and because of a power failure and a few buttons being pressed in the control cab, the door...
That shouldn't have been pressed.
Well, it's debatable, but yeah, basically the door stayed open when the train started to move for about 10
Yika
seconds.
dika.
Yeah, 10 seconds over 3 meters. And then it went,
Blimey.
I'm moving, and closed the doors.
So basically the system was like, I feel like something should be happening.
Oh, that's
wait.
right, the doors.
Yes.
Oh wait, why do I feel a lot more air than I should?
Yeah.
Ow.
Pretty much, yes. But yeah, that's a fun, interesting one.
Speaking of fun, more steam engines.
Yes, steam engines are back.
And it's not just some that are back, Ben. We've also had a new build come out of the works.
Yes, we've had a lot.
We've had James Spooner emerge from Boston Lodge.
Yeah, right. So let's have a quick blast of all the ones we know. We've got the T3 at Swanage is back in service.
Oh yes,
The Festiniog has built a new Fairley called James
Double Fairley,
Spooner, based on one of the original Double Fairley.
Based on one of the older designs, yeah, and she's not even got a full roof.
Yeah. A Ginty is in testing.
the LMS Crimson Lake one.
Yeah, a Blue Peter's been steamed up.
And from what I've been told, she's going in BR Blue.
Ooh.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, apparently she's going in BR Blue.
Ooh la la. Actually,
What else is... Oh, the Stania Mogul's been in...
Stania Mogul has just gone into testing this week.
would we technically say the Chorus Falcon as well?
Yeah, Falcon.
Yep, she's not long done either.
Yeah, she's up and running.
She'll be very nice once she's
There's a
lined
Black
out.
5 as well, I've been told as well. Is it 44806?
I think so.
The one that was in BR Green and early Prez.
I think so.
Yep, she's back up and running, hopefully within the next few weeks.
Yeah, so Steam...
Big paint our BR Green again, we need that.
Good. Steam's looking good, and then the news gets better. Nick,
There's mod coming back into traffic.
Nick, what did you find?
So as we all know, the T3 at Swanage has finally returned to Steam. In the post, actually, they say a little bit about the T3, but that's not the main news. I'll get into that if you wish. But the group that have done the T3 are now eyeing up the T9. Hopefully to have her in Steam for her 130th birthday in 2029. Now I think that's going to be a real corker, because you'd have the oldest, at least I think, one of the oldest LSWR tender engines, alongside what later brought Drummond's T9. And I think that'd be a real corker.
Oh wait, no, there's more LSWR tender engines. My mistake. But yeah, I think she is probably the oldest surviving one.
Yeah.
And wasn't she steamed pretty much to the day that she left the works at whenever she was built? For her first steam test, she was steamed to the day she left the works.
I think it was either that or the actual day Steam ended on the Southern Railway.
I think it was when she left the works. Or when she was withdrawn. It was one of the two.
No. I remember now. It was when she went on display at Eastleigh in 1945. That was it.
Right,
so yeah. Full circle for the engine.
Yeah.
But there's going to be one key thing that I'm interested to see what happens with the T9.
Which is...
The NRM have to agree to it, because remember, it's their engine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the NRM own it.
I think I remember seeing somewhere that the NRM...
seeing as the T3's done quite well already...
Yeah.
I think they'll be more open to the idea of returning to Steam. I mean, bloody... What's her name? Sir Lamuel's gone back in for overhaul, hasn't she?
Oh yeah, she's currently undergoing it, and although she's going in the bog standard BR green with early crest, I still think it's going to be nice to see her back, because, well,
Just wish more of the NRM's collection would steam again, but hey ho.
Green Arrow. Anyway,
My lord.
I know that a lot of DMUs have been pulled, like Pacers are going into Heritage now.
A lot of them have, and a lot of them have been broken up.
Yeah.
Some being used as anything but trains. Like, what was it, cafes for some of them?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I mean, this is my philosophy. Love them, hate them. If they do the job, they do the job.
I prefer the prototypes, I'll be honest, they're a bit more unique.
But did you hear... oh, that was it. Russell's out.
Is she?
Yeah, Russell got taken out of service, remember?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, because short ticket ran out.
No, they found a crack.
No? Oh, yeah, that problem.
That problem.
In the...
Conrods. Side rods. They were doing a clean-up of oil and everything, and they found a lovely big crack on one of her connecting rods.
Yeah, that's going to need replaced.
Yeah.
There was actually a post about her, I think, but I'm not going to get too much into that.
Didn't Bluebell announce they were looking at putting some more trains into...
Yes,
yes,
I know this.
They did. What was it? 'Cause the 9Fs trying to get funding done. Wasn't there something to do with the radio, Mick?
Yes. The H2 Society that are building the replica Beachy Head have announced that once the locomotive has been completed, they're going to look at restoring the Adams radial, which I think is going to be the biggest thing, considering, you know, it hasn't steamed since the 80s. So what is that, 40, 50 years?
I don't think she's steamed since 1990.
Yeah. They're also going to be restoring the B4, Normandy, which I think is going to be very
honestly,
nice.
It's about time, because Bluebell's had a policy where they've had a small tank engine and steam, usually to act as station pilot.
Yeah.
Because when was the last small tank engine in steam? In fact, which one was it? Was that Bluebell? Because Baxter went out before her.
I think it was actually Bluebell. Speaking of...
She went before the pandemic, didn't she?
Yes, that sounds about right. And I think it's actually Bluebell being the third engine they're going to overhaul.
I want to see her back. I want to see her just annoy some... Unfortunately, she's beyond buggered.
No.
Yeah, no offense, Ben.
City of Churro in Steam, but hey ho.
I think she's got a better chance than Stepney, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, considering, what is it? Stepney's boiler and frames are pretty much knacked, and the cylinder block.
Gone.
Yeah.
In fact, she's probably got the same problems as Maud, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's one of those things, isn't it, where you leave an engine for that long, and it's like, okay, what needs?
But at least with them having Fenchurch back, they can masquerade her as Stepney.
Who's that one?
Fenchurch is number 72.
Yes.
Now, here's a bit of a interesting little poverty that most people get incorrect. Most people, when they talk about Fenchurch, say that she's an A1. This is actually incorrect. She's actually an A1X.
She's only externally modified to look like an A1.
Yeah, it's mostly just the front end, isn't it?
A1s left?
Yeah, because
it's Warden and Box Hill.
Yeah, that's about right. And of course, Box Hill...
Box Hill, she's actually came out of the little corner she was hiding in recently.
Yeah,
she was put in the main hall.
Oh, how did I miss that one?
Honestly, it surprised me more than anything.
No. So do you remember a few months ago? Oh, sorry, I was just going through Rail Advent because I remember I was going to talk about some rolling stock that's been withdrawn from the main line, and I've just found a report has been released into the collision in Wiltshire.
Which one was that?
October 21, when the two trains collided in the tunnel.
Oh, that one.
That bleeding mess, yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that and I missed this one. Right, so the incident happened at Salisbury Tunnel Junction in Wiltshire, which is on the immediate approach to Fisherton Tunnel around 1843 on the 31st of October 2021. So we're talking 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember when that first happened.
Yeah,
so
when
they've
the 1721 South Western Railway service from London and Waterloo to Honnington passed a red signal and collided with the side of the 1708 Great Western Railway service from Portsmouth Harbour to Bristol Temple Meads.
See, told you, it's always the south that has the problems.
When the trains collided, the South Western Railway train was travelling at approximately 52 miles an hour, and the Great Western was travelling at 20 miles an hour, causing the front two carriages of the Waterloo train and the rear two carriages of the Portsmouth train to derail. Both trains.
That's a combined speed of about 70.
Both trains continued to travel into Fisherton Tunnel before they came to a stop. Now, I remember watching a clip of the 59 trying to pull the
Yeah, I remember
out,
that.
and it's bouncing backwards and forwards on the track.
Did they end up getting a second engine for that?
I think they did.
But yeah,
not surprised.
Accident, 13 passengers and one member of the railway staff required hospital treatment, and there was also significant damage to the train and railway infrastructure. Investigations found the cause of the accidents were wheel rail adhesion was very low in the area when the driver of the Waterloo train applied the train brakes. Because of prevailing low level of adhesion, the driver did not apply the train brakes early enough to avoid running onto the signal protecting the approach to the junction. The braking systems on the Waterloo train could not cope with the very low adhesion. So,
to me, that sounds like there was a lot of water on the track.
Leaf contamination on the railhead had caused very low level of wheel rail adhesion and was made worse by a drizzle falling immediately before the passage of the Waterloo train. So it hydroplaned.
And they say stuff doesn't need sanders anymore.
Who said that?
Well, consider the fact that a lot of multiple units don't have sanders anymore. They just have road slip protection. Like the only modern stuff, sort of modern, quote unquote modern stuff that I know that has sanders is the 91.
Huh.
Yes.
I think
everything else has just got wheel slip protection now.
The new stuff that's running on the Victoria line has it, because I remember seeing it when it drove past me. Because I do work with that set a lot with one of the sites I go to, and they do have sanding gear.
I think if it's an individual locomotive, they will have sanders, but if it's like a multiple unit,
this is EMU.
But they've given sanders to an EMU.
Yeah, if I remember right, they have the sanding gear on. Yes,
that's interesting. That is a rarity.
There was also an increased amount of vegetation in the area that had not been effectively managed by Network Rail's Wessex route, and probably another factor.
So no view of the signal at all.
It could
near enough.
It could be anything really.
From the sounds of it, personally, it sounds like they didn't exactly take care of the trees very well.
They didn't trim the vegetation down enough.
It also failed to use proactive or reactive measures to effectively manage railhead contamination. Rio also discovered that an underlying factor was that the South Western train was not suitably preparing its drivers for assessing and reporting low adhesion. So training. Lack of training.
The driver training is a problem as well. It's always like you have to train your crews on this. We live in Britain.
2 safety observations. The application of revised design criteria for the train protection and warning system, the risk of signal overrun and how it accounts for a high risk at low adhesion sites should be assessed. 2 issues were found relating to the severity of the incident: loss of survival space in the driver's cab of the Waterloo train, jamming of internal sliding doors resulting in obstruction of passenger evacuation routes. Network Rail is reviewing its training and competence framework for off-track staff and reviewing its adhesion management standards, whilst its Wessex route is reviewing arrangements for proactively responding to reports of low adhesion and how it undertakes railhead treatment. South Western Railway has changed the training and briefing of its drivers so they are effectively briefed on and understand information about autumn arrangements. So Great Western's pretty much been cleared of all fault here.
Because their train was going at 20 miles an hour.
And was also in section.
Yeah, it was already in the section. There's not much it could have done.
10 recommendations. Ooh.
Only 10!
7 for Network Rail, including processes, standards, and guidance documents that relate to the
'Cause it's their
management of
track.
lethal low adhesion risk, the training and competence of staff dealing with vegetation management and seasonal delivery, responses to emerging and potential railhead low adhesion conditions, management of railhead treatment regimes, assessing the risk of overrun at signals at sites with a high risk of low adhesion on their approach. Because if I remember right, the tunnel's also in a cutting, isn't it?
It's in a
Yeah, it
cutting,
is.
and I'm not sure if it was on a downhill or not either.
It's in a I know it's in a cutting, so you've got to think. You've got that, and it's a vegetated bank as well, so you've got all that leaf is going to go one way, the track.
It's going to get funneled down by the rush of air by passing trains.
Retrospective application of design criteria for the train protection and warning systems. Retrospective application of design criteria.
That to me sounds like there wasn't TPWS installed on that section of track.
Which is concerning. So
AWS I can see, but surely you'd need TPWS for that sort of a junction.
Yeah, the toe of the switch is right by the throat of the tunnel. So you come out the tunnel and you're going into a switch, which seems ludicrous to me. One recommendation made to South Western Railway. Review
here we go.
its arrangements for training and briefing drivers to make sure they can effectively identify areas of low adhesion and report them as necessary. One recommendation is made to the Rail Delivery Group. In consultation with train operators and the Railway Safety and Standards Board, to provide improved braking in low adhesion conditions, investigate technologies other than sanding systems and wheel slide protection. Power. One recommendation is made to Horsebrook, Evershot, and Angel Trains.
I think they're the ones who own the trains
on the Class 158 and 159 carriages.
Because those were the ones involved.
Because if you're not in the UK and don't know how our system works, it's
complicated.
We have too many hands on the wheel. But yes, over on the Norfolk side of the country and that whole area, the East Coast, they're pulling rolling stock.
That's not surprising. No, they're always doing that.
New rolling stock.
Really?
Puzzles by chance.
Let me see if I can.
That's also a new one. Do you mean the 69, Stu?
No, I mean like the multiple units that East Anglia use. They're called Basils because they're always faulty.
I don't know that. I don't think I know these units. You might need to tell me later.
Like they look like trams.
Oh, I was wrong. It's Transpennine.
Oh, it's Transpennine, is it?
New.
Is it their Hitachis that are having problems?
No, it's the Nova 3. UK passenger operator Transpennine Express TPE has confirmed its decision to discontinue the use of its Nova 3 locomotive haul train set, comprised of
that's the 68 and Mark 5s, isn't it?
Plus 68 locomotives and Mark 5A coaches, effectively from December 2023 timetable changes. This announcement
didn't they have a problem with it?
Let me have a look. A very unsatisfactory postscript. The story of the Nova 3 programme dates back to the original invitation to tender for the TPE franchise, where Department for Transport had initially specified the procurement of coaches, expecting the future operator to repurpose redundant 5-car third rail EMUs for use with diesel locomotives. However, in December 15, First Group, the eventual winner of the franchise process, opted to order new trains from manufacturer CAF in Spain, creating the Nova 3 sets. The train commenced service on the Liverpool to Scarborough route in August 19, powered by modified 68 locomotives subleased from direct rail services.
Do you know what would have solved this problem? Just going with the original idea? Or, another possible idea, maybe not scrap the Mark 4s?
Yeah, probably. The Nova 3 programme faced several challenges, including technical issues, slow driver training progress, the impact of COVID-19, what a surprise.
Gee, wonder why that's a surprise.
And noise complaints from local residents near the maintenance facility in Scarborough. These issues limited the fleet's usage, with very few sets being in service on a daily basis, much of the fleet remaining in secure storage without entering regular service. What may happen to these locomotives and roller stock is now up for speculation.
The 68s will go back to the hire company and get leased out to someone else. Get the too new to be scrapped.
Yeah,
Coaches, on the other hand...
The Nova 3 coaches have got a driver compartment on one end.
Yeah. It's a push-pull unit. Which
Ooh.
makes me think they're probably going to apply the Hitachis to that service, and it'll be much better.
Something else I just remembered. It's sort of going back to Steam, by the way.
Okay.
Glosworks' 2807 has returned to Steam.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her.
I mean, yeah, it's a 2800. I'm joking.
I'm not great
I saw her
Western so I forgot about it.
What?
Yes.
Say that again, I missed that.
2807.
Oh, 28.
Glosworks' 2800. I saw her when I last went up there for business I shall not classify. And I think, yeah, I did ride behind her, and she is a nice engine. So it's nice to see her back.
Speaking of steam engines, India did something very interesting with one of theirs.
They've turned one into a diesel, haven't they?
They've basically done a kitchen still, except this one actually works.
Yeah, the same. So for those of the Thomas fandom, it's the same class as a Shima, is it?
Similar.
Similar.
Basically, it's the similar look, but it's not got the extra wheels.
Yeah,
up above.
But they've turned it into... I never understood those extra wheels on the top. Why?
I don't either. But anyway.
Yeah.
Probably for gearing or ratio or something.
Probably for gear ratio, you never know.
If you know, please put it down.
But I think it's safe to say we'll be putting a link to the said video in the description.
Oh yeah, where I can, I will share links in the description if I remember.
Because when I first saw it, I thought, what is this? Because I think it was your server, Nick, I found it. I was like,
I think it was.
Powered on diesel. Like, I thought, okay, it's just an oil burner.
Nope.
No, there's a combustion engine in there.
Wait, so they've taken the firebox out and put a...
Yeah, they put a combustion engine in to heat the water.
Huh. Wait, so it's still steam?
Yeah.
But it's generated by a
diesel. A diesel engine, yeah.
Yeah, basically, diesel heat water. So water then commits, well...
Didn't they try a diesel steam hybrid in the past?
Yeah, that's the case.
It worked quite well from what I understand, but there were several problems with it. Mainly the cost of diesel fuel at the time. Shut up, phone.
Well, yeah, that would be one of them. And then, if I remember rightly as well, didn't they also make a steam electric hybrid?
That was Switzerland that did that, and one of those engines is still around, albeit converted back to normal.
Huh. I know...
Yeah, they only did it to shunters, mainly because of the coal shortage during the war.
Here's a fun one, talking of weird certified things. There is an old wagon from the SD&R.
Oh yeah, I put that in.
Yeah, they're getting ready for Rail 200, because obviously we're fast approaching 200 years of railway history.
Yeah.
And so this looks like it was a wagon that was originally pulled like one of the very first steam engines.
I think it's a replica.
It's a replica, yes, it is a replica.
It's a replica of a children wagon, and they've fitted it with air brakes.
Yes, to make it for mainline running.
Yeah, the reason they've certified it for mainline running is because they've actually turned their original decision around, and they are doing a cavalcade.
Yes,
it's gonna be so nice.
Oh, I hope I find out more about that one, because I actually...
And from what I've been told, the T3's going.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the T3's going.
Well, of course, there is another... It's for the Stockton and Darlington, yeah?
Yeah. One thing I do hope that they do is if Morrisshire is back in time, they bring Morrisshire and 419 back, because they were there for the 1975 cavalcade.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
A lot of these older locos are being pushed through now to try and get them in time for the 200.
Sadly, we all know one loco that won't be attending.
Unfortunately.
Maud, and I was gonna also maybe bring up Sterling #1 and of course Green
Well, I
Arrow.
would say no to one or two of them being pulled, because they did that the last time. Because I think they had Scotsman pulling, what was it,
No, it was Sir Nigel
910?
Gresley. It was
Nigel was pulling 910, yeah.
No, 9. No, hang on. Sir Nigel Gresley was pulling #1
Oh,
for the
right.
19
Yeah.
for the yeah. It'll be very nice.
Speaking of pulling,
Excuse me.
So we're going to leave railways for a second, and this is something I find.
Are we going to the roads?
No, we're going to the sea. The first time on this channel,
it's
we are
this
going to talk about boats.
I've got a sinking feeling.
It's this one, isn't it?
It's this one.
I've got a very bad sinking feeling about what you're about to go on about.
Imagine you're a modern day yacht, and you have technical issues. The law of the sea is that when a mayday is called, any and all shipping in the area must respond. Right? So imagine your surprise when you are this stranded yacht. There's no wind. There's nothing for you to do. You are literally adrift at the ocean. When a sailing ship from the 1800s shows up to give you a tow pack to port.
Yep. Oh dear.
The ship
At this point, you're thinking, am I dreaming?
The ship Gothberg, the world's largest ocean-going wooden sailing ship, answered the distress call of a modern yacht.
How
So
did you?
imagine waiting for the Coast Guard to show up, and instead a replica of an 18th century merchant ship pulls up and goes, "Aye, me hearties, you need a tow."
I can just imagine they've called for Mayday, and just the sailing ship rocks up. Oh God, we're being raided by pirates.
You are a pirate. But yeah, so obviously this
That's childhood dreams.
This sailing ship does have an engine to meet modern standards, and it does have radio communication and other modern safety features. So the idea that an 18th century ship has come to the aid of a modern yacht is just funny as anything I've ever heard.
I mean, yeah, how often do you hear that a modern day yacht has been saved by a flipping 18th century replica?
It's not the first time up-to-date technologies had to be rescued by steam. I mean, Nigel and Tornado have both done that.
Yeah, I was just about to say Tornado.
Because I think you'll probably remember the like one of the previous times, Ben, we've talked about Tornado rescuing that Eurostar's passengers.
Yeah, probably.
Did you hear about what Nigel did in the 80s?
Oh, can I tell this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if I recall correctly, and Stuart can confirm this, a Class 25 was hauling a goods train over the Settlement Carlisle.
Not quite what happens.
Say again?
Not quite what happens.
Yeah, alright, you go for it.
There was a 47 hauling an engineer's train. Said 47 failed and had to be rescued by a 25.
Oh, yeah.
25 got most of the way up the long drag between Settle and Ribblehead, stalled. Right. So Nigel happens to be on a rail tour not far away from them. Nigel dumps coaches in Bleemore, goes to rescue the 25 and the 47.
It's just a pure.
Pictures of it. We can get you the pictures for that as well.
It's just a pure case of you're just waiting at this platform like, come on, where's this engineer's train?
Just imagine Nigel just standing there looking like pathetic.
Just Sir Nigel Gresley just smiling smugly and going, so, how's replacing me?
So how's digitalization going for you?
Shut up.
When I got rescued by a Black 5.
Did you get rescued by a Black 5?
I got rescued by a Black 5. Not any Black 5, Caprotti Black 5.
Oh. What do you mean, Stevenson?
No, it's Caprotti.
No, she's Stevenson Link Motion. Why do you think she's called Stevenson?
No, I'm the one with the caprotti valve gear.
There
He
isn't
means
one.
the standard 5.
Oh, you mean
the
standard 5?
Standard 5, my bad. Yes, the standard 5 with caprotti valve gear.
Yeah, I've not seen that. I really do because I've listened. Just really quick, I've listened to videos around the Grey Central TPO, and I really want to see that thing in person when it comes back. But go on, Ben.
Well, this was not long before she came out a ticket.
Alright.
And I was at the Midland Railway, and it was a Tugs event. I think they just launched their museum. So, of course...
In the coach?
In the coach. So me and my family were there. Me, my mum, my dad, and my brother. So... and the way Midland work it is you pull in at Swanwick after doing the full round robin, right? They then take the locomotive off and swapped it for the other locomotive. Now, the other locomotive of the day was a diesel, I believe a 47. I can't quite remember. It was named. I can't remember what it was, though.
Okay.
So, we'd already had a trip behind the Caprotti 5. And so, I wasn't too fussed. Anyway, so we leave Swanwick, heading back to Butterley Station. And we come to a stop in the middle of the cut-in. And now, obviously, me being me, I'm like, oh, the diesel's failed. And my mum and dad are like, and my brother are like, oh, it's probably just signalling or something. I'm like, nah, the diesel's failed. But so the card comes down the train, and we're in the very last coach. So he's had a bit of a walk. And he goes, yeah, we've got a braking problem with the diesel. So, of course, I looked at my mum and dad with a smug grin.
Just smug face like called it.
Because, funnily enough, we'd also been having a conversation about which one was better, steam or diesel. And I was obviously on the steam side of the argument.
Well, the right side of the argument.
Yeah. And so I'm going, steam never fails. And they're like, nah, diesels are modern and
Well,
fine.
steam never fails spectacularly.
Yeah. Well,
Blue Peter.
Yeah, Blue Peter.
I wouldn't call that a failure. I'd call it catastrophic disassembly.
Q6.
Surprise disassembly.
Rapid, unplanned disassembly.
Yeah.
Engaged.
Anyway, so I said, well, what they'll do is they'll pull the steam engine out, because she's still in steam, and she'll come up and buffer up behind us and come rescue her.
Oh, yes.
And of course, that's what happens. So again, I've got the smug look on my face. And so we start, while we're waiting for the Caprotti 5 to come up, we start discussing which direction they would take us. Now I say they will push to Butterley.
To keep the brakes off. A la Super Rescue.
A la Super Rescue, yes. They will hook up the engine, take the brakes off and push us to Butterley, but they will not travel over the viaduct and over the reservoir. Because obviously you go through Butterley, up the reservoir, the locomotive turns around and comes back to Butterley, so it's facing Swanwick, yes?
Yeah.
Alright.
And then it goes past Swanwick, turns around and comes back into Swanwick, because down towards the mainline connection. So anyway, I say they push us to Butterley and stop to stay in time with the timetable, and then they'll pull us back, and then they'll take the diesel off. Right?
And what does the family say?
The family says they'll pull us back to Swanwick and take the diesel off. Guess who was right, number 3?
You again.
You.
They pushed us to Butterley. They pushed us to Butterley and stopped right where I said they would to keep in time with the timetable.
Extra smug face engraved.
Extra smugness was that held that day.
Oh dear. The magical world of preservation. Right. Any more news?
Besides pulling stuff out of my bottom, no, I don't really think so. There's obviously rebuilding of stations that have burnt down.
Uno momento. Someone's giving me a ring.
It's alright.
Oh.
Dog and bone, as my.
But yes, we're now over an hour into the podcast, so I'm going to call it a night, I think. Obviously, there's been disruptions on the network because of weather and workings and rain and flooding and all sorts.
Not to mention that storm has been having a bit of a barney near where I live.
Yes, well, Scotland's just come out. It's still recovering from the last storm, and now the south is being hit by another storm. And I live in the Midlands, just laughing.
Shut up.
Oh, that was one bit of news that I want to have a laugh at, talking about having a laugh before we
Go on then.
My favourite project on the railway has been cut in half. And I, of course, am talking High Speed 2.
Okay, here we go.
I really don't like the process of High Speed 2 because I think they haven't planned it very well, and obviously they're starting the construction down in London, where I think it should have started in the north. Well, gentlemen and ladies and people of the audience, the government has decided to scrap the north section from Birmingham to Manchester, which comes as no surprise as they already scrapped the Manchester to Leeds branch.
Professional.
So yes, we now no longer have HS2. Alstom is now having to cut half of the fleet order because it's no longer needed. The money that's potentially being saved by HS2 is going to other projects, some of which have already been cancelled or already been done.
I'm noticing a trend here, Ben.
The government can't make its mind up.
Well, I mean, it's the government. They can't tell the difference between a wet fish and a cabbage.
Yes, I mean, a few weeks ago, it was also labelled as unachievable. So that kind of gives you an idea of how not okay the HS2 was.
Yes, well, thankfully it's going to be, well, it's been canned, eh?
Not fully, unfortunately. We're still getting the London to Birmingham section, the one section that we don't need. And do you know how much time it is going to save the commuters from Birmingham to London?
Something ridiculous like an hour or something.
No, that would actually be beneficial. 17 minutes. You are saving 17 minutes on your travel time, which you are then losing travelling around London.
The government is being very governmental.
Hmm.
Moving on.
Yes, but I have been very vocal of my disdain for HS2. So, yes. But at least they're doing one thing right.
Which is?
The road agency has started to undo its vandalism of that Victorian bridge.
Eh?
Oh, did you not hear about the bridge in Cumbria that they decided to fill in?
No, I don't think so.
So
I'll have to have a look at that later.
There was a bridge in Cumbria that dates back to the Victorian era, and instead of maintaining said bridge and making sure that it stays up, they decided to fill it with concrete.
Okay. Someone needs sacking, and sacking pretty bloody quickly.
Yeah, but they didn't even make a clean job of it.
You're probably going to put this on the screen for the other people.
I'm going to show you a picture.
I take it you also put the same image in, so we all get the shock and horror factor.
I try to remember, but here's the picture of the finished works when they,
quote unquote, did it.
Yeah, if you look in the chat.
Holy mackerel! That is atrocious! Just looks like a massive sandbank!
Yeah.
God, and everyone thinks the government is sometimes bunny. Well, this is them being bunny, but regardless.
8 million they spent filling it in. Beneath a 159-year-old bridge. And now they're spending much more reversing that.
Should not have done it in the first place, but cheaper. Anyhow.
But yes, I will obviously say a good night for Stuart, as he is no longer available.
Yes,
So-
he's on the old dog and bone.
Yes, he's on the phone. But yes. So good night.
Good night, everyone.